Encanto is the new Disney animated movie that really surprised me. I did not expect what this movie was, and I do want to get into some mild spoilers, so I'll warn you before I do that. But nothing. Well, I guess I will talk spoilers, but I'll warn you before I do any of that. But you know, so let's get into my non-spoilers thoughts. What I really liked about this movie is when I saw the trailers, it felt like a very obvious message where this girl um, was gonna have to save the family, and was the only one that didn't have a gift, and the message was gonna be you're special, just the way you are, you know, be yourself, kind of thing. Which those messages are fine, but they're overplayed in every kids movie. Every kids movie has that stinking message, and I hate people that go like, "Whoa, it's a good message." I'm like, yeah, but every kid knows that now. It's practically ingrained into their brain, and it's kind of funny because like society's not gonna treat them like that. If you go into society thinking, "Oh, you're special just the way you are," it's like not saying you shouldn't love yourself and appreciate yourself. Like that's a great thing to do, but like you need to understand that like society's not gonna treat you that way. You do have to do things sometimes. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not trying to get all dark here or whatever. I'm just saying like that's kind of the way I feel about that. It's like it's an overplayed message, and I thought this movie was just gonna be that, but it was such a deeper story than that. This movie was about um, this family and their drama, and while I was watching it, part of it was really what this movie was about was this: they have this gift, this family, their house is falling apart, nobody knows why, and there's all these layers to the drama of this family, and like what goes into it, and you're sitting there going, oh, but yeah, it was like, oh, you're watching it, and it's like, I this is a great movie because of that family drama. Like it's really interesting. It has a lot to say. It's There's a lot to read into. There's a lot of subtleties here that kids won't get, but I think it's still enjoyable for kids. I think one thing that was a little irritating about this movie was the music. Like the music was good, but it was like Lin Manuel's done better, and it's kind of unfortunate. It felt like they were really worked in the scenes, but it's not like a soundtrack that I'm gonna be like, man, I really want to listen to that again. Or there's a couple songs they'll definitely do that with, but a lot of them were memorable just because the visuals that went along with them, not the actual music itself, which is unfortunate because again, this Lin Brandon, this guy's an incredibly talented dude, made incredible music. This movie was very good though with that family drama, and that's why I got invested in the story. It was one of those movies where I really was just watching it to see how this drama would unfold, how it would all come together, because most of this movie I didn't expect where it was going, and also I couldn't guess how it was going to wrap up. And really, what kind of kids movie do you go into and watch and not know how it's going to end, right? Because most kids movies are all the same. And it was like, oh, it was good though. It was great. Now let's get into spoilers. Um, so click off now. What I really liked about this family drama is you see the siblings. There's like the one who can lift stuff and she's really strong. Then you have the one who's like, she can make flowers or whatever. You can see that this is like weighing on them and stuff, and like you see kind of the subtleties of what this family is doing. They're having this pressure put on them that's since birth, and now they have to be this all the time, and it's starting to hurt them. And I think that's what the story was saying, and it had a lot to say about that. I don't know. I really got into that. I was fascinated by this movie. I don't know. This is a movie that I'm definitely going to rewatch multiple times because there's a lot I think that you can read into, and it's one of those movies that because of that you're going to need to see multiple viewings. There's a lot of subtleties with the characters and what they were dealing with, but I think a lot of the story was it was like the idea of a story of like not labeling people as gifted, like the messed up idea of doing that with children, because a lot of these people who are adults were labeled that as children, and it destroyed them as adults. Like it was weighing on them, and there's a lot you could read into that, and it's like, oh, and it was a really interesting movie. Had a really good story, because this is the only Disney animated movie I've seen in several years that I could actually sit down and say I loved it. Like, um, there was a couple of them in the last decade I could say that for. I really feel that way about Zootopia and Wreck-It Ralph, but the rest of them I think aren't. And I thought okay things about Raya, but like Disney just hasn't done it this decade. And I think this is one of the best things that they've done in a long time. And I think it's because this movie felt like a passion project that someone wanted to make. Like someone had a genuine story to tell. And a lot of these Disney animated movies are starting to feel like robots make them. Granted, very talented robots who make incredibly beautifully animated movies, um, incredibly well voice acted movies, things like that. They have all these great things about them, but they still don't feel like a person made them. Like I can't watch Rhea and say like a person made that, because it doesn't feel that way. It feels like a robot made it, and I don't know how to explain that. But this felt like someone had a story to tell. And I'm not saying this to insult the artists who worked on these things. Again, you guys are very talented. It's just that's the way it comes across. I'm not sure why it comes across that way, but it does. And I really appreciate this movie being something different, something fresh that I think, unlike other Disney movies, I'm going to be watching over and over again to just read into what it's saying, because there's so many ways to read into it, and I want to see it again to kind of decipher what the movie was saying exactly.